All right. How's everyone doing today? I am Jay King, and today I'm going to be interviewing Darius. He's such an incredible person. One of the things that we want to do is talk about Millennial Trailblazers, is what we're titling this 2022. And one of the reasons I want to talk about this millennial situation is me personally, Darius. I'm Generation X, man. So I'm a '90s baby, '80s baby, and we get the we're in the middle of the road because we grew up with the baby boomers. So we got a lot of wisdom from those
Mhm.
baby boomers. But now I'm in a generation of millennials that are just blowing my mind, and it's so neat to be in the middle because you're getting the best of both worlds. And so I'm
Right.
learning so much through you, millennials. I appreciate you so much. You challenge my knowledge base. And so I'm going to just ask you a couple of questions moving forward. But I do want to say this: I'm really proud of you to see where you've come
Thank you.
from. You're just incredible. You're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, and you've become very
Yes.
successful. And let me ask you this: what got you started in entrepreneurship? What actually got you started? And tell the people where you're from, and I
Okay.
guess where you graduated from. Just kind of give us a little bio about yourself.
Yeah, no problem. Name is Darius, and I'm from Chicago. I was born in 1991, so it wasn't kind of closer. And so I guess you could say 90s baby slash 90s kid, essentially. But essentially, yeah, I graduated from college at Eastern Illinois University. I got my bachelor's and master's. And essentially, with your first question of let's say what's got me started, I guess it was always a knack to want to make money. I hate the fact of being broke. And a funny story, my mom actually taught me a lesson, and I'm pretty sure she'll never forget it. She never probably remember it, but I remember I asked her for some money, and she just gave me like probably like $20 at the time for a skating trip that I went on. And she's like, "You spent all $20," and technically I spent it on a little girl, trying to impress her when I was younger. And I was like, "Man, I don't have no money now." And so the fact of not having money in my pocket pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
That I always try to find ways to make money. So even when I was in high school, I was selling chips and juices to kids, my fellow peers in high school. And after I did track and I did football for a short period of time. I did track the longest, and I knew no matter what after practice, everybody's going to be either hungry or thirsty. And I would make sure I had my Capri Suns, I had the Flaming Hots, I had everything that you can think of, and I made nice with the it was a corner store right by my apartment, not apartment, house, because we moved to a house by the time I was in high school. And the owner would always call me and sell me the chips and stuff for wholesale, so I can increase my profit margin. And so I was smart enough to get a job also. So I worked at Baker's Pizza, and I became a busboy. They paid me minimum wage, and I always got tips. So you get the minimum wage, the tips, and then you sell chips and juices at school. You tend to have a nice little chunk of change in high school. So the knack of really always wanted to double my income, always work multiple and challenge myself to work multiple jobs and constantly still get good grades. I was in the Who's of Who's in America in 2005 when I was a freshman in high school, and
Mm.
just constantly just keep climbing up as far as income. And it is stuff that I had to teach myself. Now I kind of grew up seeing my pops actually trying, doing different hustles like with the cell phones and stuff like that. And that was a great inspiration to me. And I wanted to find my own path. And music just happened to be my path. And my first goal was to become the best producer in the world. I wanted to be Quincy Jones, Timbaland, everybody. And I always tell people when you know what your purpose is, be able to find your purpose and adapt.
Mm.
And that's the best advice I can give anybody, really. Because you may have found your purpose, but times change. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't listen to 1950s rock and roll. Now you have multiple genres in that particular, subgenres in that genre. Just like
Mhm.
hip hop, it's not the old school 1980s hip hop or the 90s hip hop. It's more trap and drill. So once you know what
Yeah.
your purpose is, always adapt to the times. And that's
Oh,
what I
that's
always
all.
try to tell people. And I
That's
mean, when
good.
you think about your favorite artists, they didn't adapt. The ones that fell off, they never adapt to the change. Rather finding another artist and just basically pushing them and then, doing features and stuff like that. Because everybody at that time when you have to pass on your knowledge. And that's your way of adapting to change. And
That's awesome.
so, with that being said, I've always loved studying trends and just trying to see where um, the next trend is going to be and try to beat it to the punch.
Hmm.
One of the things I became very competitive with everything. My great grandmother told me a story when I was a baby how I learned how to walk. My cousins was running around, and I was mad because I couldn't keep up with them. I was crawling. Tried to stand up and I failed. And she said I threw a tantrum, but then I eventually got up and taught myself how to walk. And she told me when I went up to my cousin as a baby, I started pointing to my chest like, "Yeah, I'm walking now. I'm about to keep up with y'all." And so that was my great grandmother told me that story. I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because that's me now. I've been knocked down so many times.
Mm.
Trying to because a lot of times you don't have that person to teach you or take out the time to show you how to do different things. And
Okay,
I was
right
grateful.
there. Right
Mhm.
there. I don't want to cut you off, but I want you to
You fine,
talk
you
about
fine.
right there what you just said. What was the pivotal point in your life? I know you came from Chicago, and
Mhm.
we actually met. I actually forgot how we met. I'm gonna be honest with you. You have to go through that. But
Oh,
what was the pivotal point
yeah.
in your life stepping into that entrepreneurship world? What was the pivotal point?
Honestly, the pivotal point where I feel like I started hitting my stride was meeting you personally. You gave me an opportunity and I took it. It was one of those things. This is one of those opportunities you're like, hey, you can do this with me, and we can actually grow this, or I can we could just basically use you basically how can I put it? You was gonna give me um just money just to walk away. So I had a choice: either take the money and walk away, or just go ahead and take the opportunity that you was presenting for me. And I'm a person that love new opportunities. I thrive on that. Again, that goes back to the adapting because that actually helped me out with what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something business, but I saw, for example, the music thing at the time was not working out the way how I wanted to. So I could
Yes.
have been stubborn and stay with my path and more likely not got to where I wanted to get to and been upset or take the opportunity with you. And so luckily took the opportunity with you. I think we talked like every day essentially. And it wasn't like no 5 minute conversation. It was long conversations because as much as I was essentially I was so grateful at the time. I'm telling you, everybody, and I'm still grateful. Don't get me wrong, but at that time, it was like, man, I'm about to really like change my life, and that's how I looked at it. And I was in my master's when we met,
Mm.
and yeah, I learned so much from you. I learned the way how you think, and you actually introduced me to the concept of making money in your sleep type of thing. I never heard of that, but it makes sense once you explain to me what that concept was, and I got addicted to it. I started networking with other people that can help me further my business, and I will always talk to you. It was so crazy. I look forward to talking to you a lot of times more than the girls I was dating at the time. I was like, man, look, I'm trying to learn how to do X, Y, and Z right now because I saw this as the future. I'm always so proactive about the future. That's what I care about. I never really cared about the right now. A lot of
Yes.
times I made investments where I didn't have the amount of money that I wanted to have like have fun and stuff like that, but I sacrificed it all gladly because I knew the future was going to pay off, and that's what ended up happening with me. All the sacrifices I made in my 20s, I'm basically reaping the benefits of it now that I'm 30, and I feel like, and I'm gonna keep pushing myself now. So I
Oh,
gave up a
love it.
lot of parties. I gave up a lot of. I could have been traveling, going on vacations, and doing things like that. The only time I traveled was for PBS when I did documentaries and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for that, I would never travel. I was so set on trying to basically uplift my net worth. So I would study things off YouTube essentially while I was in college. And I always joke around and say I learned more for YouTube that I did in my master's program.
Oh
And
wow.
people always laugh about that. Yeah,
Wow.
I've actually did. And 'cause essentially, I'm more of a visual learner. So if I see somebody do it, I can do it with no
Mhm.
problem. I don't have to read a textbook. If I see you do it one or two times, I already know what to do. And that's where YouTube, especially at that time, helped me out with. Uh, but yeah, that's one of my pivotal point when I met you because
I'm gonna
now
tell you
again, that's what
something.
that purpose. You changed my purpose.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm just so super proud of you, man. You bring so
I
much joy to
appreciate
my
it.
heart. And it's just like a father when his son brings joy to his heart. And one of the things I will say is when you came down here, I remember picking you up when you came
Yeah.
down here. I'm from Chicago, and it all started. And I say this is amazing because it started when you got that job, I believe, at Lockheed. And when you
Yeah.
got that job at Lockheed, we was working at sending out resumes, et cetera, et cetera. And I
Yeah.
remember, to show you the power of relationships, I remember I had a friend of mine that had worked at Lockheed for over 30 years. You remember that? And
Yep.
I spoke with him, and all of a sudden that opportunity just hit. You got hired. You was in the door. And one of the things that was interesting is you actually boosted your income up to about, and I know you don't mind me
Yeah.
saying, to about
Oh yeah.
70,000, 80,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
And it was about
Yep.
70, 80,000 a year. But this is what's crazy about it. As you really begin to ingest these videos, and as you begin to just learn some things from me, you ended up supplementing your income at the
Hmm.
job. And so what I
Yeah.
want you to do real fast is just talk a little bit about that process of being at Lockheed Martin, making 70,000 a
Hmm.
year, and why you were able to actually leave the job because of your productivity and your just incredible enthusiasm about financial literacy. Talk about that.
Yeah. No problem. Essentially, I was applying for the job in 2015. 2016, essentially, basically, the bottom fell out when I actually moved out to the Texas, and it was funny because me and my fiance, we had to go ahead and do the independent contracting until I got hired. I almost didn't go to the interview for Lockheed. Funny story, because I got so tired of being denied, getting denied for jobs and stuff like that, while I was still trying to grow my business. And essentially, I would stay up late at night, so like 5 o'clock in the morning, knowing that I had to do my independent contracting job at 8. Uh, and I got the call for the interview, and again, I almost didn't go because I actually got a job finally. And I was like, okay, do I take out time to go for an interview that I may not even get, or do I go for it? My auntie and my fiance was like, just go. Worst case scenario, you just don't get it. And I was like, all right, because after a while, rejection takes a toll on you.
Mm,
So, and that's what ended up happening with because I got to that point where I got tired of it, and so I went to the interview, got the job, and I was astonished and I was grateful for it. And of course, like anything that's new, when you're the youngest person that's in a particular team, there's no really respect. So I had to earn everybody respect essentially because I didn't know nothing about it yet, but I was responsible for learning how to basically assist the mechanics with blueprints and all that stuff. And so what I did was I would take out the time to learn. I started off making 59,000 at that job my first year.
wow.
And so what ended up happening, since I'm a huge workaholic, and there were times that I wanted to quit. Don't get me wrong, because it was difficult to learn, a lot of times it was the pressure to learn fast. When again, you don't have no experience. If I tell you to go tell you what this part on the submarine is, you're not gonna know because you've never been on a submarine and stuff like that. So I worked weekends after weekends, overtime just to learn the jet, just to learn the at least the basics of it, and I can build from there. It was so bad that I even drew the jet. I actually it got damaged because some water had stuck on my desk, but I kept it on my desk from when I first started. And essentially, when I how can I put it? After I learned the jet, I started getting more and more respect because it was a lot of older guys that was putting me through trials and tribulations. And some of them were just flat out picking on me as far as because they did not want to see me succeed. But the other ones actually wanted to see me succeed. But
Yeah.
that was their way of, I guess, the tough love, which is fine. I'm used to tough love. I'm not going to go under pressure. And so what ended up happening was I started becoming great in my position. It was one time I worked the whole month, the weekend and weekdays, and I was doing that while trying to do a business. And luckily, my fiance was so patient with me because there was a lot of times I was frustrated because you working 10 to 11 hour shifts Monday through Friday, working every other Friday, and then you got to come home and try to do as much marketing as you can for your business, make sure the products are still going great, and then you sleep for a minute and you got to go right back at it. And I was working second shift, so basically when I get off work, I would have to go home, go to sleep, wake up, maybe eat, but I was so focused on my business aspect because I still wanted to watch, I still wanted to grow, and then and that was a huge challenge. But I knew again back to what I was saying at the beginning. When you know your purpose, I knew my purpose was my business. And I did not want to fall prey to working my job and letting that get the best of me while my business suffered. Because I always look at it like this: a job can let you go. You can't control that, but I can control majority of my business. I can see if, for example, sales are going down. I can probably play better offense or defense
That's
ahead of
good.
time.
That's
And
really good.
so in 2018, that's when they gave me a huge pay increase because they
Mm,
were saying that they appreciated everything. It was like the cost of living adjustment and stuff like that. And they was like, "Yeah, we appreciate you. You know, you doing great." And when I saw it, I was like, "Oh wow!" 'Cause I think that one had bumped me up to like 68,000 at that time.
wow.
And I was like, "Okay, perfect." Kid you not, I want to say the following week, my grandfather passed away. So I got good news one week, and then the following week he passed away. And it was one of those things that, it hurt it and tremendously because he's actually one of those pivotal moments that you had asked about earlier. He spoiled me to death. So I had the insight. I think I was like 10 years old. I was like, man, I'm not gonna always keep getting spoiled like this as I get older. I got to figure out a way to make money. And that was one of those like eye-opening moments that I had. I'd never forget it. And now fast forward back to the Lockheed thing. Yeah, I kid you not, there was a lot of nights I didn't even flat out get no sleep because I wanted to have my business grow. There was not going to be no quitting for me. Because after what I experienced in 2016 when I got let go from my job, I never wanted that experience again. I never wanted to put my fiance through that experience that we had where we was definitely grinding, hit the pavement hard. But the problem was I know how I can be. I'm very demanding as a person. And I never wanted to put her through something like that again because I look at myself as the person that gotta, for example, provide. I gotta take care of business. And when I see that either something that's my fault indirectly, that somebody else is suffering, that's trusting me, I take that to heart. I take it personal. So with the Lockheed thing, that's why I never quit because now if it was me, I probably would have quit a couple years prior, to be honest, just because my business started doing good in 2018 too. That's when I finally got to the point where I was making between 2 to 2,500 off my site alone per month, plus the money I was making from Lockheed. And so
That
I
right
was like,
there,
okay.
that right there,
Mhm,
there, right there. That's awesome. I
mhm,
want people to catch this. First of all, you're working for Lockheed Martin. This is a company
mhm,
that basically sells, and let me get this right, airplanes to
mhm.
the government. And they have billions
Yep.
of dollars in contracts, right, from the government.
Yes.
And so you're working at this company where you're making close to 70,000 a year. Now, right here,
Mhm.
the Bible says, without vision, my people perish. You had a vision for your life that extended beyond the job. And so you had a
Yeah.
vision and you were making money outside of the job. So what you were doing is on your time off, how you were utilizing your time, you would go
Mhm.
home, you would work on your business, sometimes on your job. And I'm instituting some of this because some
Mhm.
of the people might not know this, but you had the type of job that also allowed you to bring your laptop at times. And you were able to do
Yeah.
things. Just start from there. Just let them kind of know how, even though you
Yeah.
had a job, you still had vision and momentum beyond the job.
Oh yes. What ended up happening was my fiance was very instrumental with this. Which again, also let me add this: when you actually have a vision for something, your partner needs to have the same vision with you. Because if not, it'll make your life so much difficult.
Yeah.
So I started having an idea. Because, for example, if a customer had a problem with, for example, a product or needed a resolution to something, I always couldn't get to that customer at a great time because I was always believing in great customer service. Try to respond to everybody that I can. And with my fiance, she was so great that she was able to respond. I taught her my business, and she basically knew what to do. As soon as
Mm.
I was like, "Hey, check out my email," and she'll look at it and she'll take care of it for me. And so what ended up happening was, I'm like, "Why don't I just bring my laptop? So at least during my 30-minute lunch break, I could be working instead of just going through instead of just eating some garbage food. Essentially, I can just actually go ahead and work." And so that's what I started doing. So when cause we have 30-minute break and then we have 2 10-minute breaks. So that's 50 minutes in total. Like, okay, I get a lot accomplished in 50 minutes. I can go ahead and either upload products or I can either get in or create some products. I'll just have my headphones in and call it a day. And because don't nobody bother you in your lunch period because everybody just don't. Yeah, people become very antisocial real quick when it become lunch period when they know they're not
Yeah,
getting paid essentially to talk.
exactly,
They
exactly.
so that's what I ended up doing, and so I ended up getting a new position where I was in a control center, which was so much better. The workload was way lighter, and I got like a nice little pay increase too, and that's where it bumped me up to that. That's like my second pay increase, and it was so much better. It was much less stress too. And so what I started doing is start bringing my laptop, and I had my own hotspot. And so when I wasn't dealing with certain things, I'd just be working on that because again, it was more freer than what I was doing. I was working directly on the jet. And so I did my job, and then I also was working my business, and the same concept, even on breaks, because it was such a small team. Everybody knew I knew my job, so it was never no question. I always took care of my job first, and then when I had downtime, just work on my business. And yeah, it was one of the greatest decisions that I've made because I was able to keep track with everything. I was able to meet new people, and actually, one person in particular that both of us benefited from. I was able to meet him, and yeah, it was great. And at the time,
You talking about
uh,
Smokey, huh? Smokey, we can say that
yeah,
name.
yeah,
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 he's incredible.
yeah,
Let me say this though, before you move on. One of the things I'm
mhm,
really proud of you about, and you're a very humble person, but as you were working, this is what's so amazing. As you were putting in that little time into your job, that really shows you the value of time. You know, sometimes
yeah.
15 minutes or 20 or 30 minutes can turn into a multi-million dollar business or a six-figure
I
business.
agree.
But what I like about you, like what you were saying, is your site was making like 2,000 to 2,500 a month. That was the second stream. But what
Yeah.
most people don't know is Darius really began to evolve. Let me tell you what happened, and he'll expound on this. Darius ended up getting major distribution deals outside of his company. And now he ends up having five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 streams of income, which
Yeah.
changes and revolutionizes his whole consciousness because Bill Gates says doing business at the speed of thought. What is doing
Yes.
business at the speed of thought? You're starting to ingest your ideas and your concepts through technology. And I wanted to show you an example of someone that actually took this knowledge base of learning how to operate at the speed of thought by using technology. And he was able to create, listen to this, he's created a multi-million dollar business. I would say that because of the value
Uh,
of it, because of all the distribution deals that he has
yeah.
from utilizing 30 minutes of his time to 50 minutes of his time while he had a job. So for those of you that have a job out there and you're making excuses, I can't do it, I don't have enough time. Those words are sabotaging your reality. You're going to have to change what you're saying. You're going to have to change how you're thinking because most people create their own reality by their words and by their thoughts. So I'm super proud of you for
Yeah.
transcending poverty. You come out of Chicago. You've seen a lot of
Mhm.
guys in Chicago, a lot of our African American men being murdered, being killed. Many of them don't even come out of poverty, Doc, but you came out
No.
of there, and I salute you, I congratulate you, and I'm going to continue to support your dreams.
I
And I'm
appreciate that.
glad to be connected with you.
Oh yeah, likewise. And that's one thing that made me even more harder, ironically, what you just said, how people come up with excuses. As I began to grow financially and I saw how hard I was working, because a lot of times when you're in the middle of just something that become a culture, a way of life, somebody else got to
Mhm.
point it out to you. Uh,
Yeah.
my fiance pointed out to me, and my pops pointed out to me too. He was like, they always like, man, do you ever take a break? How are you alive? And that's why when people talk to me about their issues or why they can't do something and stuff like it's a language that's foreign to me. And it's not I'm not saying that out of cockiness, it's just something that I never understood because
Come on.
I was literally basically working almost 24 hours, and that's not even me over exaggerating. A job that was taxing and a business that was to me even more taxing because you constantly have to figure out how to maneuver around. And a lot of times that's why when people want to work with me, if they cannot do the bare minimum, we don't work together no more.
Come on, bro.
I do not make excuses because nobody never gave me excuses if I dropped the ball or stuff like that. And then too, I always pride myself on being reliable. Even if I am tired, I want to be the most reliable person that you ever met. And a lot of times people will do so I've seen people fail with having their own business. I've seen people quit their jobs prematurely. and not really have an ecosystem in place to really sustain them, and then
Mm,
actually have a profit from their business that they can actually reinvest into their business. And I tried to warn a lot of people about that, but of course, some people they don't want to listen to it until they really are struggling. And that's one thing that I try to make calculated risk. So, for example, even when I walked away from Lockheed, a lot of people was like, "How, man, you shouldn't do that. That's job security." And I was like, "I understand that, but count on me at this point, and I put the work in already. Count on me is the security that I needed." Because now, and don't get me wrong, I had that fear when I first started Lockheed to ever leave the job, because I just got done going through the trials and tribulations of trying to constantly make money and stuff like that. But I got to a point where I started seeing that the fruits of my labor was really working out. And what ended up happening was my fear actually pushed me to
mm,
constantly stay up late at night, and to constantly keep going, because the fear of me doing a job that I don't see myself doing for the rest of my life, if I had to choose between that or my business, that fear of failing made me actually, ironically, it helped me succeed, because I hated the thought of failing. I hated the thought of like,
mm,
okay, man, if I do leave this, that self doubt, I'm
mhm.
telling you, it put anger in me to push me to go to where I needed to go, to where I'm at right now.
You
And
asked me something.
that's always
You
been
asked
me.
no, go ahead. Would you say always what we gonna say? I'm sorry.
That's always been me. Growing up in Chicago, you tend to have a lot of anger issues, essentially. But what I learned how to do, I master.
Yeah,
What I learned how to do, I learned how to master my anger to have it
yeah,
push me instead of like stand in my way. Because a lot of times, my anger will have me say things that I regret later on.
yeah,
And what I
most
what I did was like I said, I took my anger and let it just like elevate me. Like when I felt myself getting tired, me get mad that I'm like, okay, if I go to sleep, I'm gonna be mad as up. But that anger kept me up at
That is
night.
so, and
So
that's so funny about you because you used to ask me. You said, Jay, you would always ask me, Jay, how do you do what you do in business? You got a family, you
yeah,
got a wife, you got
yeah,
kids, and it was amazing. You watched every little thing that I did, and what you caught this one principle that's real powerful. You learned this about me. I don't tell a lot of people this, but some nights I don't go to sleep because
yeah,
I'm
I know.
so hungry for growth, not only just making money, but it's the reality of self-development and growth. Some nights I just don't go to sleep. I remember a season of my
Yeah,
life I didn't go to sleep for a good 3 or 4 years. Hardly. When I say I didn't go to sleep, I mean I woke up, I would go to sleep the next morning at 6 or 7 o'clock
yeah,
because I was
yeah,
so hungry to achieve more. And I see that same energy, I see that same vibe, I see that same spirit on you. And you actually took it to another level than me. You took it and
yeah.
run with it. You ran with it. And now tell the people though, sometimes you don't even want to go to sleep. You don't you
Yeah, no,
fear
you
going to
don't. Yeah, and that's starting to become me more and more, especially now that this is my full-time thing. It's like I do not want to go to bed, because it's
sleep.
like I feel like I can do so much more. And it's like I still feel like that same like early 20,
Yeah,
middle 20-year-old guy. I'm like,
yeah.
man, I cannot go to sleep. I don't understand this. Like I want to keep going. And honestly, yeah, you're right. I watch you to a T. I swear, if my fiance was here right now, she would tell you that how I used to get mad if I like, when, for example, if I fell asleep. I'm like, I know Jay didn't fall asleep. I know he didn't fall asleep. And I was like, and
Oh
so she would
man, that's
always,
that competitive drive.
and then yeah, it was, and what pissed me off, like I sent you a message, like an email, and then I done fell asleep. It'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning, or 4 o'clock in the morning, and you respond, and I wake up like around like let's say like 7 or 8. I'm like, I knew he was up, and so it'll push me even more. I'm like,
Oh
okay, this
man.
man, he's already you are at the level that I wanted to be, especially at that time, when I was younger, and I still strive to get to your level. I look at you as like the basically my milestone, essentially. And that's why it's always great to have people that's greater than you around you. Because if you have somebody that's at the same level, a lot of times you tend to get relaxed. But if you have somebody that's greater than you that you can talk to and pick their brain and see what made them so great, it's like that's the greatest thing. And I noticed that you did not get no, you barely went to sleep. And I was like, okay, I need to do
Yeah.
the same thing.
But
No
I'm proud of you.
more.
I'm proud of you though, because the reason I'm proud of you is both of us, we've reached this level now where we've added so much value and
Yeah,
content in the system of the internet. We've created schedules and
yeah,
you've shifted
yeah,
from that because now we kind of know what type of value we need to put into the system in order for it to
Yes.
continue to perpetuate what we experience, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah.
About the schedule? Doesn't that help relieve a lot of the stress now since you're more familiar with your business?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And one thing that helped me out besides the schedule was the concept of a lot of times I made a lot of my competitors my business partners.
Oh
So that
wow.
way I
Snap.
benefit off them and I was able to cut a deal where they create my products. So not only
Awesome.
they making their own products and I make a cut off their distribution, now I'm paying them to make my products and I can take the full 100% of the royalties from
Well,
that
look
from
here. I'm
my
going to tell
end.
you this though. I'm going to tell you this. You have some incredible deals in China that I'm interested
Hmm.
in. And so once you
Oh
work out
yeah.
that deal in China, let me know because we can send
It
over
should
a
be ready
partner.
next month.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. We'll talk more about that after this. But yeah,
Understood.
it should be ready more
Understand.
next
So
month.
you worked
And
out
yeah,
all the
we can get it
details.
rock
You
and
worked
roll.
out all the details.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Awesome.
just more of, the other stuff that, the international stuff that just need to be worked out and that takes a little bit more time. But everything else, I mean, the deal is basically done. It's just basically releasing other stuff. So,
And well, you know what? I give you the power to distribute anything that I have through
okay,
that China system. One of the things that
okay,
changed our whole consciousness of how it relates to money, when me and Darius started dealing with companies that are overseas, we started learning about the different. I guess you can say you have the British pound, the Chinese
yes,
yang. Sometimes when you get paid from these companies, you have to convert the money over into U.S. dollars. So that was an experience,
yep,
and he's
yes, it
experienced some
was.
stuff. He's experienced some stuff beyond me. He's gotten some deals that I don't even have. So I'm thankful that you have those deals and those opportunities, and I would love to partner with you on 'em.
Yeah, you already know I'm always gonna partner with you. There's nothing I would never tell you no when it comes to this. So,
But look, man,
yeah, we're a
Dar-
family.
Darius, look, we got to do this again, man. And I want to tell you
Mhm.
that I believe in you. I believe in the God in you. And man, God has done some amazing things in your life. And what I like about you the most is you've taken responsibility for your life. And I
Oh yeah,
appreciate
yes.
And Father God, I just bless Darius right now. Bless him and his fiance. And I thank you that you'll continue to do exceedingly abundantly above all that he can ask or think. I thank you for this millennial generation that they are trailblazers to the future. And I just speak blessings over his life, blessings over his mom. He just lost his stepfather. And we just pray for peace in his life, Lord. Give him peace and also give him the wisdom that he needs to take it to the next level in his business. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. Well, Darius, I appreciate you for
Yeah.
coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, boss. You take
Thank
it
you for
easy,
having me.
man. We'll do this again. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Peace out.